Hello, my name is Reverend Dr. Mae Elise Cannon. Today is Sunday, October 8th. It's Sunday evening here in the United States. It is the end of the second day of the war between Hamas and Israel. The nation state of Israel has officially declared war on Hamas after the incursion yesterday and the attack on the state. As of now, more than 1,000 people have been killed, and we'd encourage you to read the news. I won't give you all the details by any means. We wanted to highlight some of the key things that have been happening. We want to keep you informed. Please read Churches for Middle East Peace's statement that we put out yesterday. But essentially, yesterday at the beginning of the morning on Saturday, there was rocket fire from Gaza into Israel. There was an incursion of Hamas militants. One of the results was several dozen, an undetermined number, not yet confirmed, of civilians have been taken as hostages. And then Israel responded by bombing Gaza. And so we wanted to give you some updates on the second day of the war. So the death count today is that there have been more than 700 Israelis killed. That number, according to CNN this morning, is more deaths than the total number of deaths during the Second Intifada in one day. The vast majority of Israelis were killed actually in ground fighting, not as a result of rockets coming from Gaza, but as a result of the incursion of Hamas fighters into Israel. There were more than 300 Palestinian deaths, the vast majority of which are from bombing in Gaza. Israeli officials have said to Gazans that they should leave. And one of the things we're deeply concerned about is that Gaza is still closed. The more than 2 million people in Gaza are not able to leave. And so Israel has said that they will target Hamas sites in Gaza. They have been doing that. They're continuing to bomb Gaza, but we are hearing reports that within the next 24 hours or less, there will be a ground incursion into Gaza as the next stage of this war. We do know that there are hostages. We don't know the number. It's been confirmed both by the Israeli Defense Forces. It's also been confirmed by Hamas. We've heard that there are Americans who are also being held. Today, the UN Security Council met. We also know, as I mentioned, that Israel has been bombing Gaza. Some other things that you might want to know about: rocket fire has continued from Gaza into Israel. We've heard that that has slowed some, but does continue. There also has been a small amount of fighting on the northern border, an attack from Lebanon, from Hezbollah on the northern border, and skirmishes between Israel and Hezbollah. Biden and Netanyahu met today for the second time, and President Biden pledged his support to Israel and stated that the United States would be standing with Israel. The specifics of what that means has not yet been communicated in great detail, but we do know that the U.S. sent an aircraft carrier into the Eastern Mediterranean, the USS Gerald Ford. And the belief is that one of the great concerns is that this war could escalate to a regional conflict. If Israel starts a ground war in Gaza proper, the concern is that things would then escalate to a war in the north with Hezbollah and Lebanon. It could include Syria, it could include Iran, and then there would be a regional war, which is one of our great concerns. There have been protests in New York and in some other cities around the world between pro-Palestinian activists and pro-Israel activists. And so one of the things we're paying close attention to is we're calling on our constituents and others to please be attentive, encourage people to speak against any acts of anti-Semitism, any acts of anti-Muslim hatred, any acts, of anti-Palestinian activism. Emotions are very high right now, and what's happened in the region is absolutely devastating to the Jewish Israeli families who have lost loved ones. We've heard reports of friends of ours whose children have been killed, and we know of Palestinians, who have lost family members. And what we're hearing from Israeli authorities is that the war will be a long one, and that their response will not only be disproportionate, but that it will be unlike any seen before. And so there are very, very severe concerns that this is just the beginning, as the second day has come to a close. And so we want to work and speak out and advocate against acts of anti-Semitism. We want to allow people who have various different perspectives of the situation, to de-escalate even conflict in our own contexts. And so I know that there were protests and things got quite heated in New York City. We would invite you to join us in prayer. I don't know if you'll see this before Monday morning, but we'll have our first prayer gathering on Monday morning at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then every Wednesday until the war is brought to an end at 9:30 a.m., we'll pray at least once a week. We'll be praying in between, of course, but we'll gather virtually, and we invite you to join us for that. We'll invite people to pray online. You can post your prayers. We believe that prayer is one of the most significant things we can do. I've been reaching out to many of my friends who are rabbis, who are Israeli citizens, and many of my friends who are Palestinian, and we've been letting them know that we're praying alongside of them, that we're communicating about what's happening, that we still are committed to, advocating for justice. At Churches for Middle East Peace, we've been actively working to end the occupation of the Palestinian people, and we remain committed to that cause. And at the same time, we are absolutely devastated alongside of Jewish families who have lost their loved ones as a result, of the attacks as of yesterday. And so we're pleading on, global and international leaders to address core causes that have been going on for decades and have been unresolved. And so the situation is dire and urgent, and many, many people are grieving tonight. And so prayer is something that we can actively do. And so we're calling people to pray. And so we would invite you to join us in that regard. And for those of us, who self-identify as Christian, we won't give up hope because we worship Christ, who is the Prince of Peace. And we believe that his kingdom is a place where shalom and salam can be present, even in the midst of this broken world. And so in the midst of this war, we will work toward peace as we advocate for justice. We'll try to keep you informed along the way, and may God go before us.